All right, good morning. Thank you. Welcome back from break. I'm super excited for February 12th, Elizabeth Pipkin's speech. Wait, today's the 26th, I'm sorry. Elizabeth first came to us at prep when she was in the 8th grade, and since then she's been involved in any number of things. Varsity cheerleading for 4 years with the football team. She was captain this year, her senior year. She's played varsity tennis. This year she ran cross country. We've had many conversations about running 5 miles. That's been fun. She's also participated in theater and in the art club as president. She has a number of special visitors with us this morning. Bayla Pipkin, her mother, Walt Pipkin, her father, Ed Perry, family friend, Vera Stewart, a family friend, and then Frank and Christine Anderson, also family friends. If we could please welcome them. And then Elizabeth lists just one hobby, her job and internship with Vera cooking outside of school, which is awesome. And since we've been working on her speech, I was very, very excited. I even prepared a little slideshow for you. She was like, Mr. Les, I think I'm going to do my speech on waltz. I was like, waltz? That's awesome. I love waltz. I thought we were going to get to come out and do like a little dance on stage and be very interactive. And she was like, no, Mr. Les, not the waltz. Waltz. And I was like, oh, really cool. You're going to do a speech on your dad and talk about how he hunts and uses waders in the water and gets geese. She was like, no, not my father. I was like, what are you talking about? She was like, waltz. And I was like, oh, Walt's Pizza in Southern Marion, Illinois. How do you know I travel to Southern Marion, Illinois every winter with my wife and we eat at Walt's Pizza? She was like, Mr. Lutz, not Walt's Pizza. I was like, what are you talking about? So I thought, Walter Payton, gotta be football star, stud, should have been the center and running back this year. And she was like, Mr. Lutz, not Walter Payton. I don't like the Bears. And I said, oh, Walt Disney. It's gotta be Walt Disney. She loves The Lion King and Aladdin. And she was like, I hate both of those films. I'm a terrible advisor. I don't know you. She was like, no, not Walt Disney. And I thought, well, if it's not that, because she said the wall, I went, this has to be a speech about the Great Wall of China. Because nobody in their right mind would ever do a speech about any other wall that I'm aware of because, well, it's got to be the Great Wall of China. And with that, I welcome Elizabeth Pipkin to the stage.
Look to your left, look to your right. There are no full-blooded Native Americans in this room. Not one. We are all immigrants, all of us. My first ancestor, John Pipkin, arrived here in 1515 from Ireland. My friend Xenia's family arrived here in 2001 from Mexico. We are immigrants. Is there a difference between a 24th generation and a first? How about someone who is currently migrating towards us? These are the questions we should ponder as we start thinking about my topic for today. The wall. I have decided to discuss this neutral and non-controversial topic, which is the creation of a wall along the Mexican border. Trump's wall. This will not be a partisan political speech, but rather an informative discussion so we can understand the arguments of those who are for and against this symbolic structure. I will first start out with the anti-wall arguments, followed by the opposing view. There are multiple reasons cited by Americans who oppose the building of the wall along our southern border. Firstly is symbolism. The wall represents to many exactly the opposite of what our country was founded on. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is stated in our Declaration of Independence. Where does a wall fit into that statement? A wall to many symbolizes exclusion, racism, and hate. Who are we keeping out and why? Do we not want people who are leaving oppression and attempting to create a better life for their family to enter our borders? Is our country not founded by people of similar beginnings? Where would everyone in this room be today if such walls existed in our past? Exactly, not here. There is also a wall between the two political parties in the country, a wall between liberals and conservatives, a wall that prevents them from communicating. How has this helped us make progress? As you can see, a wall can symbolize more than the physical structure we are discussing on the border. It is symbolic. The second anti-wall concern is the cost. We share a 2,000-mile border with Mexico. Building a wall along this rugged border will cost the United States billions. Material will add up to $8.7 billion in concrete, $3.6 billion in steel, $12.3 billion in labor. It will also cost $200 million in land acquisition from eminent domain. This totals to about $25 billion, which will be taken from the federal budget. $25 billion that was raised as tax money from us, the immigrants. This will add to our already immense national debt of $22 trillion, the greatest national debt in human history. Another concern of the anti-wall supporters involves whether the wall will actually serve its purpose. There is conflicting data that shows that a wall will actually be effective in preventing illegal immigration. There are currently walls in strategic places along the border. These walls were placed to prevent illegal entry of people and drugs. How effective have they been? The drug cartels and human trafficking in Mexico have steadily evolved their tactics. They have tunneled under walls. Since 2001, the Tunnel Task Force has found 16 tunnels. They have gone through the walls. Last year, over 90% of drug seizures happened through the ports of entry. They have simply avoided them by crossing the deserts and canyons not divided with a fence. Will this land wall really prevent entry into our country? The final argument for the anti-wall Americans involves the actual immigrants themselves. The majority of immigrants from South America are simply impoverished humans trying to better their situation through the benefits of America. These are mothers, fathers, children who simply can't support themselves in their own country. Most are impoverished individuals from Mexico, Guatemala, and Venezuela. The United States is known as a humanitarian country. We help others in need. Think about it. Red Cross, Habitat for Humanity, Goodwill, UNICEF, United Way, Salvation Army, Wounded Warriors. We help others, don't we? This is what makes America great. Now let's move on to the pro-wall arguments. Our southern border is responsible for the majority of illegal narcotics that enter our country. 98% of the heroin in our country enters through this border. This drug is part of an opioid epidemic that is destroying our country. According to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, our Border Patrol has seized over 4 million pounds of cocaine, heroin, marijuana, and meth combined last year. Just recently, the Border Patrol had the largest fentanyl bust ever reported, the contents of which is estimated to be enough to kill 57 million Americans. Drug overdose is now the leading injury death of Americans. The cost in lives in our country is 16.3 to every 100,000 people. This means that just last year, there were over 50,000 American lives lost to these drugs. It only seems logical that any sort of barrier should be considered if it could bring the statistic down. Pro-wall supporters are also concerned with the number of criminals who enter our country. According to government statistics, illegal immigrants are twice as likely to commit a crime as opposed to legal immigrants. This does not include the actual crime of illegally entering our country itself. So in this regard, the wall can be viewed as a tool of protection. This concept is evident throughout the country. Walls around neighborhoods, walls around politicians' homes. We have a wall around Augusta Prep. Why? Protection. Keep children in and keep danger out. Walls, therefore, are built to protect. When you drive home today, notice the number of walls and fences in Augusta alone. A third argument from the pro-wall supporters involves the concept of country. They state that a country is not a country without borders. If the borders are open, then there is no country. We are just a continent. Where is the separation between the United States and our neighbors? It is impossible to have an open border with another country that is governed under opposing laws. We have to be able to account for our population. We have laws and obligations in our country, as does Mexico. If we have no separation, then who is responsible for what? The final concern for pro-wall supporters is the cost of illegal immigrants in our country. Many people do not know about the cost of illegal immigrants. Half of these people are not paying taxes. The estimated welfare cost for illegal immigrants every year is around $54 billion. According to U.S. data, the average American household pays $2,700 a year through tax money to pay for the cost deficit. This means that your parents are paying this tax every year. With the country in tremendous debt, How can we financially support this growing population? What about the medical cost of these individuals? How can we pay for it? Who will pay for it? According to wall supporters, this expense hurts the national debt even more than the estimated $25 billion wall project. These are a few of the arguments from the pro-wall side. To summarize, the wall represents more than the steel, concrete, and barbed wire. This wall separates not only our border, but also our country. I hope that my talk has allowed you to become more informed on the heated topic of a wall along our southern border. Before I started my speech, my opinion was influenced by slanted media outlets. My research made me realize that this issue, like many political arguments, is complicated without a simple right and wrong answer. Both sides have valid arguments. I hope I gave you insight from both sides of the wall. I also hope that when you are faced with other polar political topics, you can be open-minded and listen to both sides. Thank you for your undivided attention.